It's a privilege having you as my viewer in this lesson. You're welcome. My name is John Kokasomodin. Today we are going to be discussing Primary 6 content. And remember, in our Primary 6 lesson, we are looking at colonization in East Africa, whereby previously we talked about how the different East African countries were ruled or colonized by the different countries in Europe. We understood that Uganda and Kenya fell under what we call the British sphere of influence, meaning they are the ones that were ruled by Britain. Then we had Tanzania, Burundi, Rwanda falling under what we termed as the German sphere of influence, which means these are the countries that were ruled by Germany. Later on, we understood that after Germany causing the First World War, it was given a penalty, and the penalty was for it to lose its colonies, and those colonies were mandated to the League of Nations. That is what we termed as trusteeships. I mean mandate territories. We call those mandate territories. Former colonies of Germany handed over to the League of Nations after the First World War. And then later on we understood that these colonies were now given to other countries in Europe. For example, we realized that Tanzania was now given to Britain, and then we had Burundi and Rwanda given to Belgium as mandate territories. We are on page 49 today, and we are going to be looking at the reaction of the people in East Africa towards colonial rule, implying that when these countries were under colonization, when they were ruled by these other European powers, there was a way that the people of East Africa reacted. This is not going to be new. Reason being, in Primary 5, we looked at the reaction of the people in Uganda towards the British rule. Because in P5, we were looking at Uganda in particular, and we said Uganda was ruled by the British. So we were understanding how the people of Uganda reacted towards the British rule. The same thing is what we are going to be looking at in this subtopic. We are looking at how the people of East Africa reacted towards colonial rule. We shall look at how people in Uganda reacted to the colonial rule. That is already what we talked about in P5. We shall proceed to look at how people in Kenya reacted, how people in Tanganyika reacted, how those in Burundi, Rwanda reacted towards colonial rule. Of course, we are going to understand that the people reacted in two ways. Number one, we had those that supported these colonialists, and then there were those that refused their ideas. Now, the ones who refused their ideas are the ones that we shall be calling the resistors, whereas those who supported are the ones that we are going to call the collaborators or agents. Now, when we talk about collaborators or agents, you must be remembering that in Primary 5, we talked about the British agents in Uganda, which means we are looking at the people who accepted to work hand in hand with the British. So we are going to look at this reaction into one. We shall say some people, that was the reaction. How did people react? Some people supported. And those people who supported are the ones that we are calling the collaborators. Collaborators. Then we can also call these very people the agents of those colonialists, or we can call them colonial agents. Then we have said that there were others who did not support. Instead, they refused. So we shall say some people resisted. So those who resisted are the ones that we are going to call the colonial resistors. We shall also understand them. Now, before we come to look at these people, we are going to first of all understand why did some people collaborate? Why did some people collaborate with the colonialists? This is a question that we are going to have its answer. Then after understanding that, and after understanding this, we shall also have another reason. Why did some people the word is resist. Why did some people resist the colonialists? Why did some people resist the colonialists? This is also another question that we are going to answer before we begin giving those examples or those people. Now, when we go to our page 50, we are given the reasons as to why these people collaborated, why they worked hand in hand with the British. Remember in P5 we say a collaborator is a person who supports the ideas of another that he or she believes to be good. Which means when these colonialists brought in those ideas, there were people who accepted to support them. We call them collaborators or agents. Why did these people in East Africa support these colonialists? The first one says, these people wanted to gain wealth. To them, it was like they wanted to get riches, to get wealth. These are what you call riches. They believed that since these colonialists were from rich countries, they were from the powerful countries in Europe, they thought they were going to become rich. They were expecting to be given gifts from them. They were like, if we support them, these people will give us the gifts and we shall become rich. So that is the reason as to why they supported them. Then also, there were some people who were supporting them for what we call pride. For one to feel proud, to be seen that so and so is working with the whites, so and so is a friend to the whites. That kind of popularity is what we are calling pride, for pride. So we shall say some people collaborated because they wanted to gain or to get pride, to be seen as or to be respected as a person who is above the others. That is what we call political pride. Then the other one is that some people collaborated due to ignorance. Which simply means they supported these colonialists because they did not know their intentions. They didn't know what the other colonialists were after. That's why you find that later on some of these people who had collaborated with them had to change. They had again to go back and they were like, I think I made a mistake. These are not the right people to support. So, meaning that at first they were supporting because they were ignorant. That's what we are calling ignorance there. Then lastly, these people collaborated because it was like a form of revenge. Which means some collaborated because they saw their enemies also collaborating. Which means they wanted not to be underlooked, but they wanted to be at the same level. Since the other ones have collaborated, now they also collaborate. That is also another reason that we have here. Next is, how did these people collaborate? Let's first continue with this before we come to this. How did these people collaborate? Number one, you will find that these people accepted to sign agreements with the colonialists peacefully. When we were in primary 5, remember, we looked at the agreements which were signed in Uganda. We called them the colonial agreements. We had the 1900 Buganda Agreement signed in Buganda, that is between Buganda and Britain, to put Buganda under the British protection. We had the 1900 Toro Agreement, the same, signed by the leaders of Toro and the British government. We talked about the 1901 Ankole Agreement, the same. We had 1933 Bunyoro Agreement, the same. So you will find that these are some of the ways these people could collaborate with the colonialists. They could bring the issue of signing agreements. Remember, we say that the colonialists brought in the idea of signing the agreements because the agreements were now to remain as living evidence, a live evidence, such that if you are to change again, they will pull the agreement out and they say, you signed here, you agreed. So that was the first way through which these people collaborated or worked hand in hand with the colonialists. Then the other one is by enforcing their policies, helping them to spread their rule. For example, when we come to Uganda, we talked about the other three, mainly we talk about the three collaborators here. That is where we talked about the collaborators like Sir Apollo Kagwa, that we said Sir Apollo Kagwa helped to extend the British rule within central Uganda. That is about Sir Apollo Kagwa. He helped the British to extend their policies within central. Then we had Semei Kakungulu in primary 5. I want you to remember this. Semei Kakungulu, that we say he helped the British to extend their policies towards the east. That is the eastern part of Uganda. The other one was for central. And then lastly, we had Noah Mbaguta. That we said Noah Mbaguta was the Prime Minister of Ankole Kingdom by that time, who helped to extend the British policies towards western Uganda, that is towards the west. So those are the collaborators that we looked at. We have already given the examples. Now, we are continuing. We have said one way they could collaborate was through signing of these agreements. Number 2 was through enforcing or through spreading their policies to different places. And then we have by suppressing resistances, helping them to suppress those resistors. For example, we understood in primary 5 that when Omuka Makabalega tried to resist the British, we had Semei Kakungulu who helped, that is Henry Colville, to arrest him. We say that Omuka Makabalega ran after him being defeated. He ran and he was now hiding in Lango sub-region together with Kabaka Mwanga. And he said Semei Kakungulu led, being the collaborator, led Henry Colville to that area, and they arrested those people. And thereafter we say they were sent into the Seychelles Islands, islands in the Indian Ocean. So that was another way, by suppressing the rebellions, those resistors. And then finally, by constructing a transport network, that is constructing roads connecting to or leading to different places, whereby their administrators could pass to reach those other areas. So those are the ways through which these people helped the colonialists. Now, we have already given the examples of these colonialists, and now we are going to the other ones who refused. We are having reasons why some people resisted colonial rule now. Now, these reasons on page 50, we have them down there. The first one is that they wanted to oppose the harsh policies which means that these people, these colonialists, had become harsh. They wanted to oppose hard policies. Then, too, there are those who wanted to defend their independence, to defend their political status. That is what we call independence. That was another reason. They wanted to remain independent. And we have already mentioned Omukama Kabalega, whereby we said he did not want the British to rule or to take over his kingdom. He wanted his kingdom to remain independent. As a result, he was fought against, as we have said, and he was defeated. Then they also wanted to refuse the idea of forced labor, which means we also need to remind ourselves that the people in East Africa were forced to provide labor on the farms of those colonialists under no payments or under little wages. That was what we call forced labor. They could get the people, they take them to work in their gardens, and at the end of it all, they are not given any money. That is what we call forced labor, which was bad. So these others who refused were having that in mind, that they will again be forcing us also. So they had to resist them. Lastly, not the least, they wanted to regain their fertile land. We talked about the Kikuyu Highlands in Kenya, whereby we say that they were occupied by the white settlers. Therefore, these people now had to fight back to resist this British rule so that they could get back their fertile land. We shall be looking at that in the Mau Mau Rebellion. Then we also have the last point, which says that the colonialists were undermining the African cultures and customs, which means for them doing that, people were not happy now with the way they were treated, and it made them want to fight back such that they get that they were practicing. So that is another challenge that occurred. We have the examples of these people who resisted. In Uganda already, in primary 5, we talked about Chief Awich. We are now on the resistors. The other ones were the collaborators. On the resistors in P5, we talked about Chief Awich. Who was Chief Awich? We said chief, as you can hear the title, chief, meaning this is the person heading a chiefdom. We said in Acholi chiefdom, there was a leader called Awich. And we said this was a very intelligent person who was, remember we said that the British had tricked the Acholi people in handing in their guns for registration. Remember when we talked about the Equatorial province, we talked about Sir Samuel Becker being the governor in P5. So we said when Sir Samuel Becker was a governor, he was loved so much by the Acholi. Why? Because he could protect the Acholi people from those slave traders, and he had given them guns. So you'll find that the Acholi people had acquired guns, which means the British could not just go and rule them when they were having guns. Of course, they could fight them back. So what they did was to trick them. They said, we want you to bring your guns, collect them, hand them to us, we want to register, then we give them back to you. Of which the leader, Awich, the chief, realized a trick in that. He realized it was a trick that the British wanted to use in order to remove guns from them. That's what we call to disarm. Disarm. To remove a weapon from the person. So when this chief realized that it was a trick that the British were using, he mobilized his people and told them that no, what is happening is that these people want to remove guns from us. Let us refuse. And we said that the Acholi people refused to hand in guns for registration. And at the end of it all, the British had to use force to get the guns from the Acholi, and we say they went in for that rebellion that we called the Lamogi Rebellion. That was of 1911, 1912. I believe you remember that when we were in primary 5, the Lamogi Rebellion. Thank you. We shall be coming to that. We shall be talking about Kabaka Mwanga also here. Remember we said that Kabaka Mwanga was the king of Buganda, who refused also the British ideas. He refused the British ideas, and what happened is he was fought against. What we need to note is that these colonialists, whoever could try to resist them, they had to put their force, and you could find they could defeat people. We shall be going to look at those rebellions now that people were staging in East Africa. And at the end of it all, we shall be able to say that all these rebellions were defeated by the colonialists, and we shall be able to give the reasons at the end of the lesson. So we have Kabaka Mwanga of Buganda. We have Omuka Makabalega. Already we have talked about Omuka Makabalega, who was for Bunyoro, who staged that resistance that we call the Nyangire resistance, which means I've refused. We understood that in P5. We say the British wanted to rule or to take over Bunyoro kingdom from him. We say Nyangire, which means they refused, and we say that it now brought a war that we call the Nyangire rebellion. That is a resistance. All those other rebellions we shall be talking about in this very lesson. Then we have the Dan Kimathi. We had Abushir bin Salim, and then we have Chief Nkwawa, Chief Meli of the Chaga. We have Chief Siki of the Nyamwezi. We shall have King Jikitile Ngwane. We shall have Ngwane about that. Then we shall have King Muzinga of the Muzinga rebellion in Rwanda. We shall be looking at all these rebellions one by one. The reasons for resistance, we have already given them. They were fearing the harsh policies by the colonialists. They wanted to defend their independence, and they wanted to be free from the idea of forced labor. And then we also talked about the Kikuyu highlands, which were taken, so they wanted also to get such areas back. And then we talked of the colonialists undermining their cultures, and it made them to resist. Now, we are going to page 51, which is having lesson 6. Before that, there is a research question which is asking us, how did Semei Kakungulu, a Muganda general, help to extend the British rule or colonial rule in Uganda? How did he help? So we shall be able, we said in the other lesson that some of these collaborators could construct roads to other places where their colonial masters were to pass on, reaching to those areas. So we shall be saying that this Semei Kakungulu constructed the roads towards eastern Uganda, which these colonialists were to pass on to reach those areas. That is another reason we have there. Colonial resistance in East Africa, that is page 51. Here, we are going to begin looking at Tanganyika, and we shall be able to say that Tanganyika was that country in East Africa which was most affected by many rebellions. And this occurred because of the harsh treatment that they were given. We are saying a rebellion is any attempt of people to change the government through violence. Any attempt, meaning that people are not happy with the way they are being ruled. Therefore, they want to change the government. They try to resist. They try to refuse the policies which are taking place in that they can get a better government. That is what we call a rebellion. We can call it a rebellion, or we can also call it a resistance. Rebellion or resistance. Sometimes we can also call it revolt. All these words are the ones we use. We can call it a rebellion, a resistance, or a revolt. So when you hear about the revolt, don't again say again what is a revolt. The other time the teacher was talking about a rebellion. What again about this revolt? What is it for? It is the same thing. So we are saying Tanganyika was under the control of Germany. Of the Germans, who were harsh towards the natives. The natives, we are looking at the local people. And here we have the examples of rebellions in Tanganyika. We shall be looking at the Abushiri revolt. I have already said a revolt means a rebellion, so we can as well call it the Abushiri rebellion or the Abushiri resistance. That was by Abushir bin Salim. We shall have the Hehe rebellion by Chief Nkwawa. We shall have the Chaga rebellion by Chief Meli, the Nyamwezi rebellion by Chief Siki. We shall have the Yao resistance, that is by Chief Machemba. And then we shall also have the Binza resistance. Then finally, we shall have the Maji rebellion by Chief Kinjikitile. That will be a very serious rebellion for us to talk about. We can't wait to reach there. So we are going to begin in Rwanda. We have the Muzingas rebellion, as we already talked about there. And then coming to Kenya, we shall be looking at the Mau Mau rebellion. And then we shall be have, that is by the Dan Chimathi. We shall be talking about the Nandi resistance. We shall be talking about the Giriana resistance, the Turkana resistance, and finally we shall have the Abaguzi resistance. These are the ones in Kenya. In Uganda, we have already talked about the Lamogi rebellion. We have talked about Nyangire rebellion. We have talked about Mwanga's resistance. Those are the ones that we had in Uganda. Then we shall also be talking about the Sudanese mutiny, which was staged, that is towards the soldiers or the officers. That one comes after what we call the Equatoria province. That is when we talk about that. So we are going to begin discussing these rebellions one by one. And first we are beginning with the Abushiri rebellion, that we can also call Abushiri revolt. Abushiri rebellion. Like we said, this is the one which took place in Tanganyika, and we are saying it was led by Abushiri bin Salim and Wanaheri, the Arab traders at the coast. And then we have the causes. What we need to note is that we have the causes, and sometimes these causes are the same. They cut across, all that there are some that are having some different causes. When we have the causes of the Abushiri rebellion, one, we have these people overtaxed. The natives were overtaxed, which means they were charged a lot of money as a tax. A tax is the amount of money that people are supposed to pay to the authorities, like the government. We even talked about taxation in Uganda, hat and gun taxes, if you remember it very well. So the people of Tanganyika were overtaxed. As a result, they had to fight back. They had to resist. It brought back, it brought what we call that Abushiri rebellion. Then two, there was the interference of slave trade. The interference of slave trade, which means they wanted to continue practicing slave trade, which was abolished, which was being discouraged or condemned by the Germans, and this made them to revolt, that they were denied their duties. And then also we have the loss of independence. They had lost their independence, the Germans. Therefore, they wanted to gain or to regain their independence. And finally, the Germans had monopolized trade at the coast. So these things made them want to regain or to control back the trade at the coast. And they went in for a war that we are calling the Abushiri rebellion. Now, in a rebellion, we have what we call the effects. The effects, we are looking at the outcomes, of which we have always shared, and we have always understood that the effects come in two ways. There are those effects that were good. Then there were those effects that were bad. How was this rebellion good? It made the Germans to realize that they were really, their rule was not good to the people, and they adjusted, they changed. So that one becomes good to the people of East Africa, the people of Tanganyika. But again, when we cross to the other side, whereby we shall say that in a rebellion, actually what I want you to understand is that when we come to look at the effects, and the question is not specifying whether positive or negative, I want you to always run to two main effects. Very common and very correct. In a war, when people fight, we shall have loss of lives. There are those who are going to be shot and they die. loss of lives. Number two, as they are fighting, there is destruction of property. Property has to be destroyed. Houses are going to be bombed down, crops are going to be destroyed, and any other properties can be destroyed, and that will become a negative effect. So when we have these effects, we are saying there was displacement of people. That is another thing which I wanted to add here. Displacement. Displacement of people means people have to run away. A war is breaking out in an area. People cannot wait for them to be shot. People have to take off. They have to run away to secure areas. Of course, they will go and become either refugees or IDPs. Those are the ones we call internally displaced people. So that is another challenge. People will run away to areas which are not their homelands, and that is what we call displacement of people. Number two, we shall have death. And then we are saying that Abu Shiri was captured and hanged. That is another effect which was negative, and of course he was killed. Then destruction of property, and at the end of it all, I've said the Germans realized their weakness and they adjusted. That's why we are saying taxes were now reduced. So this one was now good to the people. But when we look at the other ones up, these ones were very negative. People getting displaced, people being killed, property being destroyed, Abu Shiri being hanged. Those ones were negative effects. Next is, we are going to look at the Hehe Rebellion. The Hehe Rebellion was staged by the Hehe people, still in Tanganyika. And we are saying it was led by Chief Nkwawa, whereby we are saying that a big reward was offered by the Germans for anybody who could lead to the arrest of Chief Nkwawa. Of course, that was, the leader, and they wanted to deal with the leader. What we need to notice is that these colonialists could target the leaders. Who is the leader of this resistance? They pick that person, they torture that person, they imprison or even kill the person, such that there will be no other people to lead others into such violence, and they could succeed. We are saying Chief Nkwawa hanged himself in 1898, and his head was cut off and taken to Germany for scientific study, which means the Germans wanted to understand how does the African brain behave? What is it that these Africans are of an African? So when they got the head of Chief Nkwawa, it was cut, and then they took it to Germany to study how that brain was. So that is another rebellion that we have in Tanganyika. The causes are the same: overtaxation. The Germans were harsh to the people. They were forced to provide labor. They were forced to grow cash crops like tobacco, cotton, such things. And then interference in traditional cultures and loss of power, that is loss of independence to the Germans. Therefore, he wanted to get back rebellion. The effects of the Hehe Rebellion are not different from the other effects. In every rebellion, we expect the same effects. People get displaced, people get killed, property is destroyed. Then the other side also, people are just. The leaders are just. So we are saying here, people were displaced. We are now on page 53, if you are following yours. People were displaced, people died, property was lost. There was promotion of nationalism, meaning that people now had the love for their country and to defend it. And then Germany also spent a lot of money to control this rebellion. And it set a foundation for other rebellions, which means things did not end there. Much as the person's head was taken, they went ahead for another rebellion. We are going now to look at what we call the Maji Maji Rebellion. Now, the Maji Maji Rebellion, like we said earlier on, it was led by Chief Kinjekitile Mwale, and this is one of the most famous rebellions in Tanganyika, that is in Tanzania, that we call today, which was staged against the Germans. We shall say it was the greatest, and we have the soldiers using the water. That's why we call it Maji Maji. We have talked about the Hehe Rebellion, We are now on Maji rebellion. Maji means water, that is in Kiswahili, which means we are now, if we are to translate it directly, we would have it as a water rebellion. Now, why was it called Maji rebellion? Why was it called water? We shall be able to realize as P6 children that the soldiers, Kinjekitile soldiers, was led by Chief Kinjekitile. Now, the soldiers of Kinjekitile could use magic water. The soldiers believed in the magic water which they could get from River Rufiji, which means another point is here. They will ask you, which was the source of the water? Or where were the soldiers getting their water in the Maji rebellion? They were getting the water from River Rufiji. So they could get the water and they sprinkle it on their face or their faces on their heads, and that water was magic. It could now protect them from the bullets of the Germans, in that when they go in for war, even if a German shoots at someone, that water could make the bullet just to disappear, and they could not get shot. That is what we call the Maji rebellion. So in other words, they were like using the water as it's now the water which helped them to be protected from the bullets that were coming from the Germans. That is about the Maji. Causes of the Maji. What brought the Maji rebellion? The same. Harsh rule, we are having forced labor, overtaxation, low payment of the people. That is what we call, the other time we looked at this as wages. Say that is the little money that is given to someone at the end of the day after the person working. So you could find that the Africans were overworked, yet they were given very little payment as wages. That was another problem. And then the Germans brought in what we call compulsory cotton growing. That's what we call forced cash crop growing. They were forcing people, everyone was to have a garden of cotton. In that when they come to your home, they ask you, first show us your garden. In the other previous lesson, we were looking at the Akidas and the Jumbes, whereby we say that the Jumbes were the ones who were responsible for supervising the activities of, the growing of cash crops. So you will find that if they come to your area and you fail to get or to show them the garden of cotton, then that will be a serious case. You are to be answerable. A case which would make you to be punished or taken even to courts because of not having a garden of cotton. Of which we understood, why were these colonialists forcing people to grow cotton? We say they wanted to get the raw materials to take in their home industries. For their home industries, then we also talked about them, people growing these cash crops that they could sell them and they get money to pay as a tax. We are continuing. We have the results. The results are the same. Like I have told you, people have to die. Property is to be destroyed. People have to be displaced from their homeland. And then we also have others. We are saying that the German administration was improved, which means the Germans a little adjusted on their harshness. They were no longer too harsh. They reduced a little. The natives were allowed now to grow their own cash crops. That is at the end of the rebellion, which was also good. Which means they were no longer forced to grow what they didn't want, but instead they were now given also to grow what they wanted. And then the Africans were paid highly, and public facilities were preserved and improved. Education and health services were also improved upon. So these were the good side or the good effects of this rebellion, much as the negative ones have been also seen. We have heard about the negative ones also. So that will take us to the activity that we have on that page 54 and some parts of 55, which will give us a research question. Why was Chief Nkwawa's head cut off by the Germans? We understood this. We said his head, the Germans wanted to take his head for scientific study. That is to study on how the African brain behaves. Then we go to now the Mau Mau rebellion. Mau Mau rebellion, we are now in Kenya. Mau Mau Rebellion. We understood that this rebellion was led by Dedan Kimathi, and we need to understand that this Mau Mau is an abbreviation that we are going to open as Mzungu, that is the M, Arudi, Ulaya, then we have Mwafrika, Apate, Uhuru. That is what Mau Mau stands for in full. Mzungu, Arudi, Ulaya, Mwafrika, Apate, Uhuru. Which simply means that let the whites go back to Bulaya. Remember, Bulaya, that is now Britain, let me say. Let the whites go back to Britain so that the Africans from Africa, so that the Africans get their freedom. Uhuru, that is independence, freedom. So that is what we mean by Mau Mau. I mean, Mzungu, Arudi, Ulaya, Mwafrika, Apate, Uhuru. Let the whites go back to Britain so that the Africans get their freedom back. That is about the Mau Mau. It is one of the famous rebellions that was staged in East Africa, and we shall be able to realize that this is one of the rebellions that took long to end. And why did it take long? You will find that it involved very many tribes joined hands in Kenya in order to fight for that, or in order to resist the British rule. Remember, in Kenya, we had talked about the white settlers who had occupied the Kikuyu highlands, which means these people were not happy with the whites settling there. So they were like, let the whites go back to where? To Bulaya. Let them go back to Britain so that Africans get back what belongs to them. They get back their freedom. So that is about the Mau Mau rebellion as we have it there. Now, we are saying that it was the famous rebellion in Kenya, which was aimed at fighting for independence and regaining the lost Kikuyu highlands, which were taken by the white settlers. We have the military leaders, that is the Dedan Kimathi, and we have General China, who was also supporting the Dedan Kimathi. Those were the military leaders. And then we have the political leaders of this rebellion. That is where we have Jomo Kenyatta and we have James Gichuru. These are the political leaders. So we need to understand the difference between the political leaders we need to understand the difference between the political leaders, and then we have those military leaders. The military leaders, we are looking at the ones who are now fighting, and then the political leaders, the ones who are now supporting it to take place. Why was it staged? We are looking at the causes. Number one, there was loss of the fertile land to the white settlers. That is what I have talked about as the Kikuyu highlands. Number two, there was a restriction. In one of the lessons, we talked about the Kipande policy. Kipande policy in Kenya, whereby we say that the Kenyans were supposed to carry a tag which could identify them as an identity card. So they realized, they saw it as a punishment. You carry that tag everywhere you go. They ask you, who are you? So you show them that tag. So it was like a punishment to them. So they were fighting such that that thing was removed from them. Number three, there was racial discrimination. That's what they call the Calabar, which means people was being segregated or favored according to color, of which you will find that the British were favoring themselves or were putting themselves in higher positions, whereas the Africans were pressed down there, which was not good. So they had to fight for their rights also. Next is we have overtaxation. So you'll find that in every rebellion we have mentioned taxation, forced labor, low payment of people, despite them having maybe overworked. And then we also have the people in Kenya wanting to have more representatives on the Legislative Council. So they also fought for that. And then they were not allowed to grow cash crops of their own. And at the end of it all, they had to fight, just like for the Mau Mau, for the Maji Maji. Reasons why the Mau Mau took long to end. I said it was very popular and it was fought by the majority of the Kenyans. Number two, most of the Kenyans united. That's what we call unity among the Kenyans. And then we are saying that the fighters could hide in the Aberdare forests and the Kenyan highlands. So after these fighters could go and hide in such areas whereby they could now also fight the British. And the rebellion took long. Much as we shall be able to realize that at the end of it all, the Kenyans lost it. The last point says that the thick forest made the movement of the colonialists hard. For them, they could fear moving via those thick forests, whereas the Africans could now hide there and they could attack these colonialists. At the end of it all, they were able to sustain the rebellion, to make it last long, much as it was defeated, as we shall be coming to look at those reasons. But before that, we are having a point we have on page 56, effects of this Mau Mau rebellion. One, of course, I have told you about the other negative effects. People dying, property destroyed, people being displaced. At least we should be having those now as answers which should be at our fingertips. Whenever we talk about effects, run to those. Then we also have the other side of it. We are saying that many people in Africa were imprisoned. That is also negative. Like we have Jomo Kenyatta, that we said he was the political leader, and we have James Gichuru. Political parties were banned or abolished in Kenya. It promoted the spirit of nationalism in the Kenyans. That is now positive effect. It brought a widespread famine. That is negative. Then we are saying it sped up the independence process in Kenya. That is positive. It quickened the independence process, meaning it made the people of Kenya to get independence very fast. As we have said here, let them go back so that the Kenyans, the Africans in Kenya, get their independence. We have talked about Africans were now allowed to grow their own cash crops, just like for the Mau Mau, for the Maji Maji rebellion, which was a positive effect. It was good for the side of the Africans. And then they were also granted freedom. At least the way they were treated by the British was adjusted. And also they were able to regain their fertile land. Now, we have reasons why Africans were defeated. We have said that when we look at all these rebellions we have talked about, Bushiri Rebellion, the Hehe Rebellion, the Nyangire Rebellion in Uganda, the Lamogi Rebellion, Mwanga's Resistance, Maji Maji Rebellion, Mau Mau Rebellion, all these rebellions, at the end of it all, they were defeated by the colonialists. Reasons. So we are having reasons why the African resistance, to colonial rule. Let's say why African resistances to colonial rule were defeated. Why were those rebellions defeated? Now, we are having the reasons on page 56. Reason number one, you could find that much as some people were fighting the colonialists in Africa, there were those who could go and support them. Which means these people were not united. This brings what we call disunity of the Africans. The Africans were not united. I have said we had those that were refusing, at the same time there are the other ones who are helping them. For example, we talked about Semeka Kungulu. That we said Semeka Kungulu helped Colonel Henry Colville. He led him towards Lango, where Omuka Makabalega had tried to hide, and they arrested him. So such things you could find that made these colonialists to succeed, to weaken or to defeat the resistances in East Africa. Number two, the Africans were using inferior weapons. They were using inferior weapons compared to the superior weapons that the colonialists were using. What I mean here is the Africans were using poor weapons, or sometimes we call them weak weapons. Let's call them weak weapons. The Africans were using weak weapons. What we are looking at is, you could find that the Africans are using a bow and arrow, they are using an arrow, you are going into a war with an axe, with a panga, the other one is having a gun, the other one is throwing a bomb at you. So you could find that such things made the Africans to be defeated. Sorry about that. Then lastly, the Africans, my Africans, did not have better fighting skills. Better fighting skills. These better fighting skills are the ones that we can call tactics. Tactics. They do not have the tactics of fighting. So you could find people could just go as if they are chasing an animal, and at the end of it all they land or they enter into an ambush and they are finished. So those are the reasons as to why our resistances in Africa were defeated by the whites. And for this very point, we end our lesson there. And I'm glad we have learned a lot. And we have been looking at the reaction of the Africans, whereby we said some refused, some supported. And we have seen the ones who refused going into wars with them. And those things occur like that. Thank you so much, dear viewer. I wish to see you in the next lesson. Goodbye.